Okay, so we got a preview, news of the day kind of thing. I want to talk just for a sec here about previews and reviews. During the regular season, when it comes to previewing and reviewing games, the reviews are normally 3 minutes per game. So if it's a 10-game night, it's probably going to be a 30-minute plus review of the night's action. And when it's season previews, it's usually about 2 minutes per game. Sometimes it's up to 3. Depends on how much material there is for me to cover. And during the preseason for exhibition games, it's a lot shorter. I don't worry about all the timestamps and all that because, again, it's just once those games are done, you can crumple them up, kick them to the curb, and move along. Tonight, the games that'll get kicked to the curb tomorrow morning, Philadelphia is in against New York Rangers. St. Louis is at home against the Detroit Red Wings. Tampa Bay is playing Florida again. We'll see how the rematch turns out. Tampa Bay's in Florida tonight. The Oilers in Winnipeg. Arizona's playing Vancouver. Calgary's playing San Jose. And the Minnesota Wild are playing against a team that used to be the former Minnesota North Stars in the Dallas Stars. So, for the Canucks, of course, this is back-to-back. And there's a lot of back-to-back games going on in the preseason with exhibition. And then tomorrow we'll see more and more cuts. We did see some cuts of note today. Carey Price was on the ice today for the Montreal Canadiens, not taking shots though. So he was on the ice working with goaltending coach, but not taking pucks. And Ryan Poehling practiced with the team for the first time in the preseason. So that's good news. He's getting closer. Meanwhile, the team has put Pekka, Alzner, Weiss, and Ouellet are among their waiver wire names. And they're interesting because Alzner's not getting picked up. Not with that cap hit. Pekka, maybe. I could see him somewhere on a fourth line in the NHL. Weiss and Ouellet, I don't see it. I don't see Ouellet getting picked up. I'm kind of surprised he didn't stick around a little bit longer, but these things happen. Kyler Yamamoto has been sent to the AHL by the Edmonton Oilers. Bowen Byram has been sent back to juniors. Not ready. And it's funny because Byram coming out of the draft, it looked like he should be excellent and potentially could jump right into the NHL. Not ready. His defensive numbers not very good in the preseason, so he's getting sent back to juniors where he'll play for the Vancouver Giants again this year. And Kaut has been sent to the minors by the Colorado Avalanche as well. So fewer kids than we might have expected. And it's strange because remember now, when they traded out Tyson Barrie, part of the reason was they picked up Bowen Byram. Now, the extension of the fact that they likely wouldn't have been able to keep him past this year anyways, played a role in it. But the belief was, all right, well, now they've got Byram, they've got Makar, they're solid. I guess Byram just wasn't ready, but will they make another move on the blue line? So that's a question mark. Dylan Cousins has been sent to juniors by the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll wait till next year to see him in the NHL level at the likely earliest. Although technically, when your junior team gets eliminated from the regular season, doesn't make the playoffs, or gets eliminated from the playoffs, team can call you up then. Boquist was sent to the minors by Chicago. That is a very small surprise to me, only because he doesn't have to clear waivers, and there's a lot of veterans on that blue line for Chicago. Jake Bean being sent to the minors by Carolina does surprise me a bit. I thought he was playing well in the games I'd seen, but again, no need for waivers means you're most likely to, and that's what Gaudette's facing in Vancouver with this last test today. Now, moving on from that news to the downtown building in Ottawa. Remember that, Dream? Remember when Eugene Melnyk was working with people and things looked like they were gonna happen? Well, the downtown arena hasn't been completely forgotten or abandoned, but it's been shelved, sort of. City Council is going to look at some ideas and whatnot, but if they do get a downtown arena for the Senators, it's not going to be anytime soon. And the idea that it may be a building that Melnyk doesn't own, it does make it tougher to make that sale to Melnyk. Because if he doesn't own it, he doesn't get all the revenues, and to him that would be a bit of a downgrade from what he has now. So there might be a, well, what am I getting out of it sort of aspect of that. we'll see how this turns and whether or not we see some kind of an announcement about a building this fall or winter or spring, something. Ottawa's got to do something. Anyways, I also wanted to talk about Kyle Dubas making news today. Now, I'm not going to talk about the Matthews thing, but, okay, here's the problem I have. Dubas learned about this whole mess through Twitter. Now, if I'm making $11 million, I do something stupid, and there's a police report, I'm going to call my employer. If I'm a public figure, I'm going to call my employer the next day. Go, hey, boss, I did something stupid. It's probably not going to be a big deal, and TSN had this thing today where they had Rick Westhead talking about it, and he said most likely is he gets a fine or he agrees to some kind of a course, and upon completion of that course, everything's forgotten and the charge would be dropped. So that could happen as well. He may not face a charge at all. But still, the fact that Kyle Dubas finds out through social media about this and not through the guy that everybody's like, oh, he should be captain when I was saying Tavares. Go through the summer, anytime Toronto captaincy gets mentioned, I say Tavares. It should be John Tavares. I have to think, and I know there's people who say, well, he can't be captain now after this incident. He could be, but not telling the GM tells me that's the disqualifier. Because now Dubas has to wade through all this crap he didn't know was coming, which is not something that he's going to be happy about. I know there's a lot of people who come down on Kyle Dubas. There's been a lot of complaints about the contracts to Mitch Marner and to some extent with Matthews. Less static towards the Matthews contract, but look at it compared to some of the other ones signed this year. It is expensive. But the one thing that I've said about Kyle Dubas the whole way through as well, I've tried to be as consistent with this as possible, he seems like a really nice guy. That can be a problem when it comes to managers. There's a reason why at most workplaces my manager's been a jerk. There are reasons why at most workplaces other people work at, their manager tends to kind of be a jerk. Dubas seems like a really nice guy, and he really cares about his players, and he seems to have a close personal relationship with a number of those players. It makes it more difficult to have that separation as boss and employee, and maybe that's a phone call that Lou Lamoriello would have got from Austin Matthews that Kyle Dubas didn't. So this is one of those things that hopefully Kyle Dubas looks at this and goes, I got to be a bit more of a hard ass with these players. Because that's the one thing that I've perceived just from the way he talks and from his press conferences. Again, seems like a really great guy, but you have to be able to separate from the friendship with the players. And that's why when he says, I'm never trading these players, these guys are great, I'm never trading any of them kind of thing, sort of makes the hair stand up in the back of my neck. And I think, really? Because you're the boss. I've never had a boss say, I'm never firing anybody. Everybody here is great. Because if a boss said that, I would turn around and go, did you hit your head? Or because you're going to have to fire people. It's going to happen. So, again, we'll see. And again, I'm not going to rehash it. It's just, to me, this means Tavares will be the captain. I think they were going to announce it, and I think that's been put off, and I think that's probably part of it. I think Tavares is going to be the captain, and I think there needs to be a change in the way things are done in Toronto. Because good general manager, really solid core, but I still say that what we've seen in negotiations, I don't see it as, he's a rookie GM being taken to the cleaners. No, he's a guy who's good friends with the players, and he wants to make sure they're fairly treated. Whereas other general managers around the league have gone, this is our last offer, we're done. You don't like it? Fine. You guys can call me when you're ready to talk. And what we've seen, whether it's Tkachuk or Point, is that, that hard ball gets played, and then eventually the players and the team do sit down and have that talk. And I don't feel like Toronto's really... And I know people are going to say, well, what about Nylander? The end, he capitulated with Nylander. Nylander got pretty much what he was looking for the whole time, and it left a lot of people wondering why wasn't this done sooner. So he's learning on the job. I think there's a good general manager there once that separation between the player and the employer is made, and it's really, really tricky to make that that happen. Another example that I'll just use from what I've seen instances where a person gets promoted, and either because they're too young or because they're seen as having too many friends on the staff, people have been fired before that respect is earned. So that's, I think, the real story that's going to come out of this, is that earned respect and a change in the dynamic. And last comment of the day, last news item of the day so far anyways. I don't think we're going to have a ton more news, really. Brandon Dubinsky, I reported yesterday it's a wrist injury. Well, now what's coming out, being reported by TSN and Sportsnet as well, is that it could be a long-term injury. So, if it's a long-term injury, this means that there's a lot of roster spots open. We could see one guy that's emerged as a name in the Columbus system right now. Marco Dano could find his way back to the NHL through all this. A guy who's had a few chances and hasn't taken advantage. This may be that final chance. So Dano could very well end up finding himself on the roster, and it could be, until Dubinsky comes back, which could be a while. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. I did see comments about Ryan Dzingel getting hurt last night. I haven't seen any reports today to say that there's anything long-term or there's any big concern. So, we'll see on that what happens. But that's all I've got for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.